Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, come on, let's get started now. Hey, grab you a cup of Joe, but for me, hot chocolate would do my business right now, okay? And relax, enjoy the podcast, grab something in here that you can use to help you get through your next trials and tribulation, your hardship. So let's go ahead and get all fired up, motivated, inspired. We got a good one here. She's an author. Let me put that book up here while we're tugging it. She's an author of the book. You can see my stuff's in front of it. It's what is it? Let me see. Oh, let me move it. Let me move it right here. Notes from a Blackberry by our speaker, our guest coming up, Julie Barth. She's a mother of 6, trauma survivor, founder of the Colin James Barth Outreach. Welcome to the show, Julie, with her book covering up all of us. So
I feel like I'm peeking out from behind it.
there you go. Well, you're doing great already. So those I could tell those are from the blackberry bush or something.
They are, yes.
So,
It's a play on words, though.
I'm going to say a lot of us Southerns may know all that. I don't know about all the Northerners much with the blackberry. So, I mean, they know what the blackberry is, the old blackberry instrument, yeah, but the bush and everything that come through. So, all right,
Yeah.
Julie, hey, thank you for being here. And
Thank you for having me.
looking forward to you sharing your journey. And I'll tell you off the bat, sorry you had to go through everything that you went through, but we all go through something. And then it's the test of times. We neither fold like a broken chair or we rise and shine and we bring other people and help them along in life as well. And I can tell just by the little short we talked before we got started, you're the rise and shiner.
I don't like rising in the morning, but yes, I'm a rising shiner.
I'm not a morning person. That's why I do my podcast in the afternoon. So
Well, I appreciate that.
yeah, so I'm not a morning either. But hey, we'll do it this other way then. You're the light. You know, when you say, people say, you've been through everything when you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I add on a little bit to it, as long as you know that light's not another train coming. So
Yeah. Amen to that. Yes.
all
I
right.
agree
All
with
right,
that.
Julie. So let's get into also mother of a child with a rare disorder.
I
And
do have a
so
daughter, yes.
to add that on top of everything else. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. You're the star of the show. I don't want to tell everything. You go ahead and put us where you think we need to be, and we'll follow along.
Okay. So I don't even know. Well, I guess I do know where to start. I went to the same grammar school as my first husband. He was the first. I moved, from one small town to the next. He was really the first person that I remember in my life, and
Hmm.
he's my first kiss. And then we parted ways for many years, and met back up again in college. And it was like when I ran into him, it was almost like I found that piece of myself that I didn't even know was missing. So we immediately went from, friends to moving in together and having our son. And we were living downtown Chicago. And, I guess it was grow up time. And we decided to move back to the same suburbs that we were from. So we did that and got a little house and started ripping it up because that's what I do is I rip things up. So once we moved there, I always wanted a big family. So we decided to have our second child, and we had a couple miscarriages in between. And then we got pregnant with my daughter, Tatum. And just from the get-go, Tatum just wouldn't grow. I think I had a placental tear with her, but it was literally 9 months of, them throwing out diagnoses that would, scare the living daylights out of anyone, only to be tested for whatever it was and it would come out fine. But where she, every 2 weeks, she would grow like 2 or 3 days worth. So about 39 weeks, more for my benefit than for hers, because obviously I was being told she had trisomy 18, and they delivered her early. And, it was 2001. So instrument error was what it was. And they thought she was about 5.5 pounds, but she was 6. I mean, she was 3. So
Okay.
when she came out, they weren't prepared for her because we were just at a regular hospital. And from that moment, it was like everything blew up in our worlds. She came out, and there was they used the wrong size intubation tube, which led to a series of surgeries to fix that. And there was always this she
Use
was in the
a
NICU.
intubation tube for a normal size baby, not 4 and smaller. Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't
Okay.
have a
Okay.
NICU at this
Yeah. Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
they grabbed
Yeah.
what
I
they
didn't know the
could,
name of it. I was just assuming
Yeah.
that you meant it was too big for her.
Yes.
She didn't grow as much. Okay.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because unfortunately I know too many medical terms. So yes, please
No, it's
stop
good.
me
It's
if I'm
good. And I don't know all the medical terms, but hopefully I know some of the basic, to understand the story. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay.
Um, so again, in trying to save her life, they did a lot of damage to her throat. So she was in the NICU for 3 months, and throughout that entire time, there was really no rhyme or reason for why she was the way she was, besides the rough start she had at birth, because she was without oxygen. The
Mhm.
intubation tube that they used damaged her throat.
Yeah.
So after about 3 months, we got her home, and it came with a series of traveling around the country to try and figure out how to repair her throat. And good news is we had airway reconstructive surgery, and she was doing well. And then we proceeded to have 2 more children. I'd always wanted a really big family, and my husband Colin worked down at the Board of Trade. So he was under a whole lot of stress, and we had 4 kids. The youngest was 6 months, and Tatum sandwiched in between, and he just became very detached, which
Hmm.
when men go to the doctor, I think they get dismissed really easily, and everyone was like, "You're fine, here's some antacids." And so
Rub
after
some
about
dirt on it.
yeah, right, suck it
Rub
up,
some
I
dirt on
suppose.
it and
Yeah.
then move on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So after about 6 months of that, I finally said to him, like, you need to figure this out. I need you back. I don't know what's going on. His whole personality had changed.
yeah.
So we were having this huge Halloween party, and I said, just go to the hospital and don't come out until they tell you what's going on. And so within about 4 hours, I went to the
It
hospital
was,
to find out what
hold
was
on.
going.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Just to interrupt you. Just try to throw some humor in there. But, you said go in there, don't come out to give you diagnosis, or come back with a uh, 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 trespass paper to stay out of the hospital where they called you.
Right.
So one of the two, we're going to know you've been there long enough, or they're going to have an answer. So
Right, right. And don't let them tell you that you're fine. That was
yeah,
always the thing.
if
You're fine.
I've had this similar discussion with other people that we should know our body better than the doctors do. A lot of
Oh,
people go in
100%.
and the doctors are saying, you had this, you don't have this. And you're going, okay, all right, you're right. But instead of speaking up and saying, no, this is what I really feeling. So yeah,
Yeah.
we should be, and don't be, like I said, don't be afraid to, to outburst it out there to let them
Yeah.
know it. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, go
And I
ahead.
always say, well, no, I say to people when they go, because my son was just in the hospital for something else. And I said, you are paying them. Like there's this like, oh, I don't want to bother them, or, and people, I think what a doctor says, unfortunately, they take it as the word. And there's a reason why they call it practicing medicine. So I will leave that at that.
That's right.
But
I believe that we're
yeah,
all a guinea pig, and
yes.
they're taking our information, whether we know it or not, putting it in their paperwork to show and to yep. We're all the guinea pigs. So
Hmm. Yeah. And there was,
most of the time it works out, but there's a few times, whoops,
yeah,
yeah,
I would say more than a few times. I think the more you're there, I suppose with anything, the more that you're there, the more likely you are going to encounter a lot, because I
yeah.
encountered a lot with Tatum. Um, but when she came out, no, so sorry, get back to the story. So
Yeah, you're
within three
good.
or 4 hours, I was at the hospital, and we were told that he had an inoperable tumor on his pancreas, and that he
Mm,
had stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
okay.
So within the matter of 4 hours, my entire world went from, having grandchildren with him to he has 2 weeks to live, go home, let him say goodbye to his kids.
Oh,
And
wow. The aggressive
yeah,
one
it
that
was
they
that
didn't find. Okay, okay,
until it
okay.
was, yeah, it was, he had lesions on his liver, and, they
Mm,
basically were like, yeah, it's over for him.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Mm,
I think because of everything I'd been through with Tatum, I kind of went, okay, you believe what you want to believe. And so I fought to get him into a trial, and he was doing really, really well. We became the rock stars. We would show up and they would find a room for us. And if anyone out there who's been to chemo knows that, like, they give you a chair maybe, and then you're forced to find another chair. Like, he was doing so well that they would escort us to a room. Like,
yeah.
um, yeah, and he was doing well until he took a couple weeks off, and he came back from a trip with my son, and unfortunately called me from the hospital and said that he had been shown the door from the study because it had traveled to they had found cells in his spinal fluid. So
Mm,
that was the beginning of the end.
yeah.
Yeah. So he lived for 16 months. And so my book, Notes from a Blackberry, is written, like I said, it's a play on words. It actually is about a Blackberry.
Mhm.
When I would take him to chemo, I was, still trying to like unpack all the stuff that I went through with Tatum. And I had to keep busy. So I started writing really Colin and my story, then Tatum, and then it just naturally flowed into Colin and real time.
Now, how long ago was this, and how long had y'all been married? I know you said you had a couple of children then.
We were married for 10 years when
Okay.
we lost him. We were together like 15, but and it sat on my laptop for 12 years. Well, yeah, 12 years. He passed away in 2009.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
been quite a while. Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it sat on my laptop because I really didn't write it to release it. I wrote it because I think in the back of my head, I knew that he wasn't going to make it, and he had these four little children. And yeah, I think as parents, you just assume they inherit all your stories and their DNA. So you always think there's time to tell stories
Oh,
to your
yes. Yeah, yeah,
kids.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I,
I'm
I
grateful that I
wish
did.
I wished I would have recorded. Of course, back then the old cassette recording,
Yeah,
my grandparents' story. Because when I wrote my first book, I'm asking my mom's stories about them to put in, how
yeah,
I came to be like I am, and she would tell me some stories. But everybody, I've said it multiple times. Everybody should write a book, whether you want it published or not. Have a memoir, a manuscript, so your great 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 grandkids that have no idea who you are can have an idea where part of them came from,
yeah, I
and so
agree.
and where they learn to be like they are from your genes. And
Yes.
yeah, you don't have, and even if you do want to get it published but you don't care to sell it, you got a nice little book to hand me down, you know instead of just in a folder. But
Right.
everybody should do that for their.
Well, and even if you're not good at writing, if you don't think you're good at writing, I think everyone is. They have now those books where they ask you questions and you can fill them in. And I did that for my children, a long
Yeah,
time before
yeah,
I even
yeah.
lost Colin. So that's kind of nice to have those prompts. So oh, that's right. Because you forget so much about what's important because it's constantly being overwritten by something else that's important in your life.
Yep,
So
yep, yep, yep. But yeah, I'm a firm believer everybody should write their book. So
I agree. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But like I said, I think
it's so much
for
easier in
those people
today's
out there
time.
that, because if you say that to people, you get this like deer in the headlights because I have said that to people and they're like, I wouldn't
Oh
even
yeah,
know where to
yeah,
start,
yeah. You wouldn't start and everything, but
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. Tell your stories.
you should
Yeah.
tell your story for
Yeah.
your loved ones to come before after you, so they'll know. Hey, that's how I got my personality is from Grandma
So you,
Julie. You
so you
know,
know who to blame.
there you go. You blame
Yeah.
or compliment, but my party would probably be blaming, I'm sure. So, all right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So yeah, the book sat on my laptop for about 10 years. And then I went, got together with my second husband, and it was, a very vulnerable time in my life. And I chose someone who is not good for me, which led to a decade of
Mm.
emotional abuse. So coming
Love
out
is
of the second,
blind, right?
um, yes and no. Yes, I suppose, but that coming out of that situation is when I decided to go back to, because when Colin was dying,
Hmm.
in his final days, I said to him, something good has to come out of all this suffering, because
Yeah.
when suffering has to have purpose. And so after coming out the second time, I've been forced to rebuild many times over, whether that's, with Tatum, my special needs, or when Colin got sick, or when he passed away, or, being in the marriage that I was. Um, it's not easy to rebuild, and it's not easy for anyone, but economically and systematically for women, it's really nearly impossible to, gain footing when you have all these things going on. So, everybody kind of always asks me why I would name. I started the charity called the Colin James Barth Outreach, and people ask me frequently, well, why is it named after a man if it's, to support women? And my
Hmm.
answer is that, Colin wanted nothing more than to stay here and to protect us as, me, my children. And I think he'd be very honored to know that his name, is a symbol of helping the people that he so valiantly fought to stick around and help. So that's why I
I
named
would
it after him.
I would have gone, who says Colin is a woman? I mean, a man. He might be
Well,
a woman. No, 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 I'm kidding.
well,
But
I think it's Colin James,
no,
but well, I guess both of
I
them
think,
can be, but
no, I have no problem woman being named to help a man, or as long as it's being helped. I don't
yes.
care who the name is for and gender, as long as
Yeah.
it's helping your specific group that you want to help. So that, to me,
Right.
that's minor. But I can see other people going, I don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
understand. But
Yeah.
I can see that and understand it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm standing right now. I'm trying to get the charity off the ground, and who knew that charities are not easy to to, to start up. So I'm
Oh,
making strides.
well, I'm sure you're doing good. Again, you've done the first step, naming your
Yes,
nonprofit. Okay.
and I have a
Now let's
logo.
and there
So
you go. Now let's find out more about what we need to do to get it up and going better. So
yes,
just
yes.
little steps. A friend of mine, John Bentley. Hey, John, talking to you about you, man. If you're ever listening today, but his daughter um, died on prescription drugs overdose.
Oh,
And so he's opened up, it's called a gift. And the GIFT, I don't remember, but it's acronyms for God's inspiring your talent, something like that. I forgot it. Don't know exact. Sorry about that, John. I'll do better next time. Yeah, his first step was he wanted to help raise money to help single mother, because she was a single mother, single mothers get off prescription drugs so
yeah.
they don't overdose and leave their child behind like his daughter did. And that's what he's done. So,
Well, and I love it, and that's I love that you bring up that point, because there are so many, when I first got into the charity realm, I wanted to provide mortgages, and and I really was like, and what I found is that there are so many like unique and very useful charities out there that are smaller, but you don't even know they exist. When I
mm,
started and saying I was going to do this, there were people that came along and they said, "Oh, well, the Combi Center does that," or Helping Hands, whatever it was. And I was like, "Well, if they do, then it's really not easy to find because I couldn't find them, and I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a pretty good researcher." So that's why we kind of went back to the drawing board about a year ago. And what we're doing is we are building databases of what is currently out there in the landscape of charities, because we don't want to use, our funds. If somebody else is already doing it out there, we would rather network and build their charity
yeah,
up so that they can take care of it. And
yeah.
then we find that soft spot where we provide like a bridge for whatever we can't find for anyone else. But I think unfortunately, when you hit hard times, you go straight to the government, and they're like, okay, well, if you have something, come back to us when everything's gone.
Yeah.
And you don't have time to wait. So that was my experience with trying to get assistance anywhere, was when you lose it all, you're like, oh, I've lost it all, that's great, now I am eligible for services, and then you're like, oh wait, I lost it all. So we're trying to stop people before
I
they
had to
have to get
lose
to
it
that
all
point.
to get something back.
Yes,
So
and it shouldn't
now,
be that way.
what specific women? Do you have ages, certain ages? Uh,
It's women led households. So,
okay.
whether that means you become the breadwinner and head of household because your spouse is sick, whether you're single, whether you're getting divorced, for whatever reason you are the person that is in charge of the household and you find yourself in crisis, that is what we're here for.
Let me
I'm
ask.
trying to tackle the many versions of where I have been, because
No,
that's,
yeah, I
you know,
understand. Now I got a stupid question here.
no stupid
What
questions.
about? I'll tell you a little funny story. I used to teach science, seventh grade science, and I tell them at the beginning of the year, there's no stupid question. Probably somebody else think the same thing. Go ahead and ask it. And one year, one girl asked a question, and I go like this. I know I told y'all there's no such thing as a stupid question. And I'm not saying that was stupid, but that was borderline right there. Could have been, but it's not. But I forgot the question, but it was something they were trying to get me off topic on and something. But my question is, and I don't know how you would find this out other than, but what if it's a woman that's head of the household only because dad wants to sit and drink it up, or her husband, boyfriend wants to sit and drink it up and do nothing and making her be. And so do you go, hey, we want to help you, but you got to do something with that? Or do you just say, hey, we're just helping?
Um, no, it, it
I mean,
it doesn't
there's a
matter. If you
difference.
if
Yeah,
you
there's
you
a
know if
difference between someone like your husband is, dying sick with cancer than someone that's healthy and just not doing anything. So, uh,
um
abusing the
from
system with the girlfriend
from
or wife.
my experience, women in that position don't will not seek help outside of their marriage until they are no longer in their marriage, because unfortunately, when you're in that type of a situation, you keep thinking that person's going to step up to the plate, and it literally has to hit that crisis point where you're like, I got to do something.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but in my experience in speaking, from people reaching out to me, that has never been a scenario. If
yeah,
somebody came to me in that scenario, of course, I would provide whatever assistance I could to them, but the main one would probably be to have that conversation about whether it's healthy for them.
yeah.
Um, I can't determine what people do, but I
No,
do
yeah,
know
yeah,
that if whether it's that he's being lazy or for whatever reason, it's all falling on her. The children
yeah.
are still in jeopardy. She's still in
Exactly.
jeopardy. So no, we would not turn someone away.
Yeah,
We would
yeah.
strongly
I couldn't see
advise
that. Yeah, I
we
couldn't
would
see that
strongly advise
either.
that they move along, but
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
do
You
what they
you you
do, and
can you can plant the seed on
yes,
moving them on and getting a better
yes,
life. But again, the children I couldn't leave, hungry or suffering, and not do
yeah.
anything, for that. So I wasn't expecting the answer that she's probably in hopes he's finally one day going to wake up and do something. I thought you were going to say she wouldn't come to you because she's worried about the backlash that why are you going out there and putting our business out in front of everybody else? And you know what I'm
Well, that
saying?
too. Yeah, I think that goes
That's
hand
what
in hand.
I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking the first one that you were in hopes. I wasn't thinking of that. Okay.
Well, again, I think every situation is different, but what I find is, and if somebody did come to me in that position, I would dare say that once they start feeling relief, that they would take steps to get out of that situation. I think you
Yep. Yep.
stay stuck in those situations because the thought of it getting any worse keeps you stuck in what you're doing. Because I was
Yep.
in that
Yep.
situation,
Yep.
and yeah, either I just always thought, well, hopefully he'll, because most of those relationships, the other partner promises to do better. Anytime you're about ready to go, oh, I'll do better. Oh,
Yeah.
get a job for a week and a half.
Yeah. I've
Just
had
pay one
other
bill
podcasts
or
where women were abused with their spouses, boyfriend, girlfriend, however. And the fear of trying to move on again is them coming back, finding them and everything like that until they get that plan that's so unbreakable. It's hard to
yeah.
move on. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
it
and I
happens.
can
No
understand
one
that. Don't
even
want to make
has
it
to.
worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
And
want to
that,
make it worse.
right. And that could be mental too, because, mental emotional abuse is just as tragic, I think, as physical abuse in different
Yeah,
ways. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I guess we got off topic, but not really. We got right on topic because it is a problem, and that's why I do what I do. The first situation that I was in when I lost Colin, he didn't have any vacation pay so when he got sick, I had nothing, and we had an amazing community that came out to help. So I was very lucky. But in the second situation, it was a different feel on my part because I couldn't do anything about Colin getting cancer. I couldn't do anything about Tatum falling ill to
Hmm.
genetic
Hmm.
condition. But, the second situation kept me stuck because I made that decision. And if I were to admit that it wasn't going as well as I wanted people to think, then I also had to, if you expose somebody else for their bad behaviors, you really have to expose yourself because no relationship happens in a bubble. Like it's not just one person. You have to admit to certain things that you did that you're not proud of or decisions you made that, looking from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
perspective then looks dumb, but it wasn't a dumb decision at the beginning. But you get so wrapped up in that and worried about what people will think. So
What are you needing to help move your nonprofit on right now? Getting some sponsors, help pay for things, getting the
yeah,
word out there more, getting the word out there more on what you're trying to do.
I think a little bit of both. Right now, it's a lot of logistics going on. Right now, what
And you
I'm
shame
doing
it's all the
personally.
red paperwork you got to deal with first.
Well, in building the website, building this database, there are
Yeah.
so many charities out there, and if somebody's out there who runs a charity, like your friend that you said, who's willing to partner with us, it's just making those network connections and getting a lay of the land, and it's just me right now. So the best thing that I offer people at this time in our organization is I do a lot of just coaching and mentoring. Sometimes I take people into my home and just being that voice,
Hmm.
and I find that I haven't taken donations from people. We are now, but I because it's my charity and because it's named after my husband, I feel deep responsibility. Before I took money from anyone, I wanted to be accountable to know where that money is going. So
Yeah.
now we have a business plan and everything, and we're at a point where we're going to start building. So yes, volunteers would be great. People who are looking to mentor would be amazing. If you're a woman that's been there and you want to get involved, we can mentor you up with somebody who reaches out to us. Also companies that are willing to. One of the other issues that we find is if you're a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I necessarily had to be. I had 4 kids on top of a special needs daughter. So when I went to enter the workforce, the first question they ask you is like, well, what have you been doing for the past 10 years? And you don't have any work experience, and you're just sitting there like it's as if whatever you did before that has no relevancy
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I was saying the other day with AI now, it's even worse because you can't even get your resume in without a work history. It won't even pass by the AI detector. So we're looking for corporations that will, see the person for who they are rather than their work history. Because as moms, marketing from your PTO, your sales, your counselor, and you run a budget. So, those are invaluable skills that I think are very downplayed in the workforce, because obviously a minimum wage isn't going to cut it. So,
Yeah. Do you got a committee or somewhat that works with you right now? And I'm strong with like you mentioned, get some volunteers to help it. That way you don't have to do everything. So get some volunteers
yeah.
that like I said, has been through it and they want to help pay it forward to help the next person. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now I do have some board members. We're always looking to add. A lot of the board members are personal friends of mine, and they are passionate, but nobody's more passionate than somebody who has been in my shoes. And a lot of them, I tend to have male friends, so they're great with the business side and
Hmm.
helping me with that. But I'm looking for women who are really passionate and want to join. Again, I'm not going to, obviously I welcome men as well, but um, just having that experience as a woman sometimes is very helpful.
Well, and being that most of what you're going after is women that's been through this, they would feel more comfortable, I imagine, talking with other women.
Yes.
And yeah, so I understand that too. Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you what, you're an amazing woman
Oh,
taking
thank
all
you.
this on, and uh, I would be like you. Where do I start? I got this idea. Where do I start? How do I do
Yeah.
this? How do I get this? And a lot of research, like you said, to figure out to get where you're at the moment.
Yeah. And I dove right in the deep end. I'm a Pisces. I don't know if you believe in signs, but I am the ultimate Pisces. Like, I have
I got a
great
stop sign
big,
down the road from me. I obey that one. Well, really, I don't. I do those slow and go
you know,
every time because it's out of my road to the
you're out of your
neighborhood.
realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, Pisces are dreamers. We
there you
take
go.
on big dreams, but I get lost in the thicket of the plan to get there. So I'm always looking for someone to kind of ground me. If somebody
I've
gives me a task, I'm like, I got it. I'm a
I hear
task
you.
person.
There
Yeah.
you go. I've
Yeah.
done two or three things. I'm not gonna get into a whole bunch of things, but I'm one of them. I want to get something started, but then I want to back out and let y'all control it. I
Yeah.
just want it's not there. It's not there. Whatever it is. Um, Two things again. Don't want to bring it up a lot, but it wasn't going on. It was to have benefit. I don't know if you know, I'm in a wheelchair. I got my neck broke playing football, and so
I did.
I wanted to get a sports thing started for disabled people in my community. And so once it got started, I backed out and let them run it now.
Well,
I
that's
just
good.
I just wanted to start it. I don't care to do everything. Now, if they need help, I would try to help raise money or whatever they need. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
pretty much
everyone's got
want to
their,
get it
yeah,
started.
strong suit.
Just get it started, then I'm out of here now. I've done my part.
Well,
So
I mean, the world needs people like that. I get lost in the thicket. That's my problem. I don't want to ditch out, but I know what my strengths are and I know my weaknesses are. And right now in
that's
the
the best
startup
thing.
position, I am very weak in,
But that's the
having a plan. So
that's
yeah.
a big benefit, profit, whether people believe it or not. It's a positive attribute of you to know your weaknesses because now you
Exactly.
know where to ask for help. Then try to struggle and struggle and struggling. You're spinning your wheels, getting nowhere, getting frustrated, and finally you quit. So
Yes, I agree. I
yeah.
agree.
So when you know your weaknesses, then you know I need to ask for help. Let's get somebody else involved. How can I do this? And then they explain you or they help you. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
one of them before I got hurt was the independent man, had to always do everything. And then after I got hurt, I was taking 30 minutes to put my shoes on. And then by the time I'm done, I'm tired, want to take a nap. Instead of going to my brother or my mom, hey, could y'all put my shoes on for me today? And they're done in four
Mhm.
minutes, and then
Yes, I do
I'm not
know.
tired and I'm not tired. So it took me a while, but I have learned that, and I say to me, nobody else, but I say to me, I've learned to swallow my sinful pride to be able to
Yeah.
ask for the help, and it's for my weakness.
Yes. Well, I'm getting there.
So
I
it's hard.
think that
It's hard to
I
give
was
that
brought
up.
up.
Well, it's
Well,
hard
I
to give
was
that
brought
up.
up with a mom. Yeah, my mom was like, she was one of those, like, do it yourself. Don't ever ask for help. Nobody wants to help you. You can do this all on your own. So I really have a hard time accepting help, and that's been another one of my weaknesses. So I'm trying to get past that as well. I always feel like I'm
Well,
bothering people. So
your mother is correct in, I'm sure, that most of her teachings to you, but I've learned that it's a strength to ask
oh
for help.
yeah. Oh,
It's a
I would
strength to ask
100.
for help,
Yeah.
to recognize that. And
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, I'm just guess. My mom was the same way. She raised three boys because my real dad, they divorced before I was even 1 year old. Then she remarried when I was 6 or 7, and that guy was my father. Like I told people, he loved me when I needed it. He busted my butt when I needed it, and I definitely needed my butt busted. And
Yeah.
he died when I was 16, so
Oh, I'm
she
sorry.
had pretty much raised 3 boys, and so she was probably like your mother. I got to do this because if I don't, it's not going to get done.
Yeah,
And
I think
so,
that's more me. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
sit around and wait for people to do stuff because I'd be sitting forever. But
that's right. That's right.
unfortunately, I think my children never really learned some basic skills because, I had all these kids and I'm the only one and I'm like, get out of my way, let me do it. And because I didn't have time to teach them, but I'm
Yeah.
seeing the repercussions of that, when you don't take the time to like teach somebody to do something, you raise kids. Yeah, I'm backtracking a little bit,
No, 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 no.
but it
You're
was,
doing great. You're doing great. The old what parable and teach them to fish and
the
they'll eat
fish. Yeah.
and then give them the fish and they'll drown or whatever. That old parable like that. I know I'm
Yeah.
wrong with that. I'm getting kidding. With the thank you. Especially young one, and I don't have any children, so I don't have any dogs in the fight with this one. But being a teacher, let them experiment on what they can learn to do and jump in when necessary.
I
So,
agree with you. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And, a certain level of control, you have to maintain, but when it gets too out of control, that's when, I think I was on autopilot. Just, I would come in like a storm, clean everything up, do everything, and I'd be
oh yeah.
out. So,
Well,
yeah.
it goes to the other thing that I get it done quicker than they can, so we can move on. Um,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
but now I just clean up after, 5 people instead of 5 people cleaning up after themselves. I should
there,
have, should have thought about that somewhere along the line,
it's
but
not too late, Julie. It's not too late.
well,
I'm
most of
giving
them are
you,
gone.
I'm
Most
giving
of
you
them are not my
50
problem anymore.
cents. Yeah, I'm giving you 50 cents to clean your room. Okay, well, it may be too late for 50 cents,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna
that's
say,
that's what
uh,
my mom used to tell us: 50 cents, clean your room. Because
oh,
again,
you were
I'm
cheap.
60. Well, I'm 61 years old, so you're talking, that many years ago, 50 cents was a big deal, probably. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I could tell you, I saw this. I know it's not a funny video, but it's a wild one. And guy comes in and his daughter's playing video games on the thing. He pushes the door open because it's so, and he says, "Didn't I tell you to?" He said, "Didn't I tell you to clean your room?" And she says, "And I told you I'm playing my games." Like that. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
Dad looked around. He picks up a guitar and breaks the TV that she's playing on. He said, "Now, when you're done playing your game, clean your room." And I'm going, my mom and dad would have done that to me a long
Yeah.
time ago. I'm surprised he didn't get some big backlash, and he probably did. I didn't read the comments.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
I think it's starting to circle back around. I have a 29-year-old and I have a 12-year-old. So, I see a great difference in the parenting of, the my 12-year-old and the 29-year-old. He's a millennial, so I take blame for it. But I think that I'm a Generation Xer and we came off thinking that our parents were so tough on us that we were going to be
yeah,
nicer. And yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
I
Going
definitely
back the
seen
other way,
those
I
kids
think.
when I was teaching. I saw
Yes.
those kids when I was teaching. Yeah, and good
Well, I
thing about it
apologize.
is what? No, you're okay. It's good.
I'm just
Good thing
teasing.
about it is uh uh it's not the whole thing. It's you know I wouldn't say half of it. Is that way. The bigger portion of them is still raised, be respectful and do what you're supposed to do, and then just that
Yes, I
small
would
part.
agree.
And then, I agree with you. I think it's coming back around where they're going, no, this just isn't right. I'm not doing let my kids get away what I got away with. So,
Yes, I agree. Well, and it's so hard to maintain control when social media is everywhere.
oh,
Even if you're controlling them, they go to someone else's house. So it's
yeah, oh
not fun to
yeah.
be a parent nowadays. But
I, I, I've said plenty of times. Again, I'm 61. I'm glad I'm on this end of life where I'm closer to the death because I wouldn't want to be brought up with all the social media, all the games, all this other trash that's going on out there. I could live with it. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I
I'm glad
mean,
I'm on this end.
yeah, the attention span, I said to my daughter who was sitting in bed with me last night, I was watching a movie and she's on her phone. I'm like, do you guys even watch movies anymore? Like, I feel like a movie, you
Yeah,
can't possibly concentrate for more than 2 seconds because they're like, they can only be in something for 30 seconds before they're
yeah, yeah,
moving
yeah.
on. So, yeah.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Julie, I
All right.
appreciate we got to meet and everything like that, and I'm so proud of you taking this step to help
Well,
out the other
thank you.
women, and
Thank
I'm
you.
glad of that to help make things easier and better for them. Sorry you went through, especially the second round of the marriage. Um, First part of marriage, with the cancer, that was definitely difficult, and your child, your daughter born, and so like that. But you've come out on the better end, and I appreciate that. And uh, seen too many other people still why it happened to me, and they just don't want to move forward. They're just stuck in that time, and I feel so
Yeah.
sorry for them. So,
Yeah. It's
but I'm
it's a
glad
waste
that
of joy.
well, I'm glad that you're moving on. I'm glad you're helping other people. I'm a big, big believer in paying it forward,
Yes,
doing what you
I am
can to
too.
help the next person. And again, just think 100 years from now, Julie, someone's going to say something and it's going to refer back to you where you gave out an idea. And it just finally, that ripple has kept going. And someone's going to catch on in 100 years from now.
Well, I hope it doesn't take 100 years. It
Well,
might. I don't know.
no, it's going to
No,
it's going
I'm
to
just
hit.
teasing you.
It's
No,
going to
I'm
hit.
just teasing. I
It's
know
going
what
to
you're
hit
saying.
tomorrow. It's going to hit the next day. But 100 years now, it's still going to be hitting. And
I know. I'm just
and
teasing
when you're 135, you can take
you.
credit for it. So
Okay. Deal. Deal.
there you go. All right, Julie. Hey, thank you for being here. And go ahead and give your social media website, any consultation, whatever you're doing. Again, we didn't mention your book but once or twice here. Let's pop that up while you're telling your social media.
Well, thank you. And I have a second book coming out called From Blackberries to Thorns. But if you look on my website, which is juliebarthauthor.com, you can find all my social media handles there. And there's a tab for the cjboutreach.org. And then my special needs daughter, also, she's an artist, self-taught artist. So her artwork is for sale, and all the proceeds from her artwork go to fund the charity. So there's some really cool Christmas cards if you're in the mood for them right now. But everything you need is in one place, and I am the only person manning all of it. So if you need help, please reach out. We are up and operational. Even if I cannot provide it, I will find the person who can. And yeah, my podcasts and books and everything else is there as well.
You got a podcast? You're a
No,
fellow
I'm
podcaster?
no, I'm a guest
I
on
was going to say
everyone.
with
You're
oh, I
talking
was going to
about like what you
oh,
do. I
good.
just
You
I
know,
just
yeah,
pop
I
into
thought,
other
man,
people's.
everything else
No,
you're doing, and you're doing podcasts for other people.
no.
All
I am
right,
doing your podcast, yes, but no,
there
I
and
do
then,
not have my own podcast. Yeah.
and people, thank you for coming in and listening to the Professor of Perseverance podcast. And as I said, go check out my man Ed Waters. His called Dead America or America Dead. I'm
Oh,
sorry, Ed.
that's one of
I
my
think it's
favorites. I was on there.
with
You can
Ed.
see my appearance on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's one of my faves. Yeah, we
it's
had a
Dead America,
fantastic
isn't it?
conversation. It is
Yeah.
Dead America. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. He's
he's a good
amazing.
one. He did an interview. He interviewed me probably 7, 8 years ago, and I was
Oh
just
well.
barely playing around getting started with podcasting. And so
Yeah.
he was one of them that encouraged me to hop on the boat. So
Yes. Well, he's a
I
good egg.
drunk
So
the
I really
I,
enjoyed that.
I drunk the Kool-Aid. So
Well, we're
all right,
glad you did.
Julie, I appreciate you being here. And hey, we know there's people hurting and struggling today. If you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing.
Well, I think that sometimes when you're stuck in something, you stay stuck because you're so afraid of moving outside of it and it feels comfortable. But when you get on the other side of it, and it's difficult to get on the other side, I'm not saying that it might not get a bit worse before it gets better. But once you move past it, and you can see it for what it is and the big picture of it, it makes so much more sense. And it becomes meaningful, meaning that for whatever suffering you went through, whatever situation, you are meant to learn something. And once you do learn something, hopefully you can give back to other people so that there is meaning in it. And I think that's the way the universe works. So,
Amen. Sometimes we have to walk through fertilizer to be able to smell the flower, smell the rose.
yeah.
I was trying to
But
play
don't
on
step
with
on
your,
thorns.
I was trying to play on your BlackBerry.
Blackberry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
with
don't step on those
you
thorns.
got to get you got to get the you got to get some fertilizer down and let them blackberries grow. So,
You do have to do that.
all right, Julie,
Right.
man, you have been a blessing to me. So I'm glad that we've got to talk, and I'm glad what you're doing. You're a powerful woman. Don't let anybody convince you anything different.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Everybody else, hey, share it to someone that you know can use some fire me up inspiration, motivation. I'm Dr. James Purdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.